And good afternoon. We bring you a special report after yesterday's horrific crash in Stafford County, Virginia, where 2 children and 3 adults were killed on I-95. We're waiting a press briefing from investigators with the NTSB right now after a charter bus slammed into traffic, reportedly sending 40 people to the hospital. The driver facing several charges. Let's listen in.
This tragedy. On behalf of all of us at NTSB, we offer our deepest sympathies to the families and friends of those impacted by this horrible tragedy. We are truly, truly sorry for your loss. We are grateful to, and we want to commend the law enforcement and first responders personnel who participated in the emergency response to this crash, as well as the hospital staff responsible for treating the injured. Yesterday, NTSB launched a team to investigate the crash involving at least 7 vehicles near a work zone in Stafford, Virginia. The crash resulted in both fatalities and serious injuries. Our investigation is a safety investigation. It is parallel to the law enforcement investigation which is being conducted by the Virginia State Police. Here is what we know. At approximately 2:35 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the early morning of Friday, May 29th, a motor coach operated by E&P Travel of Kings Mountain, North Carolina, carrying passengers from New York to North Carolina, approached a work zone in the vicinity of mile marker 146 on Interstate 95 near Stafford, Virginia. Due to the work zone, the right and center lanes of southbound I-95 were closed, and the left lane remained open for traffic. A traffic queue had formed as vehicles were diverted into the left lane of the interstate, and the motor coach failed to respond to the slow and stopped traffic ahead. The motor coach struck the rear of the traffic queue, causing a chain reaction crash involving multiple other vehicles. According to local first responders, 5 occupants of passenger vehicles in the traffic queue were tragically killed. Numerous other occupants, including the bus driver, were injured and some seriously. They were transported to area hospitals for treatment of various injuries. Highway safety investigators from NTSB began arriving yesterday afternoon, and most are now on site. Yesterday afternoon, I joined some of our investigators for a preliminary inspection of the crash vehicles and the bus wreckage. The NTSB team will be led by Eric Gregson, who is the investigator in charge. Eric is a 5-year veteran of the NTSB with a previous career in law enforcement. I'm going to ask Eric to talk about the structure of our investigation. I'll also ask that he talk about the importance of electronic devices and our efforts to recover information from those technologies. Eric?
Thank you, sir. As Member Graham said, we have a full team here in Stafford this week, which consists of 6 investigators, each specializing in their own area of the investigation. First, we have Survival Factors Group. The Survival Factors investigator will look at the injuries to the occupants involved, as well as crashworthiness of the vehicles. He will look at the use and non-use of occupant restraint devices and emergency egress. He'll also look at emergency response, the triage of the patients, as well as any transportation of the victims. Our second one is our human performance investigator. The human performance investigator will focus on the human operators in the crash, focusing specifically on the before the crash aspects and factors. That will include fatigue, medication, alcohol, drugs, training, workload, and equipment. Third is our highway factors group. Our highway factors investigator will focus on the roadway design, lighting, conditions at the time of the crash, weather conditions. We'll also look at the traffic volumes as well as any crash related data statistics. Fourth is our vehicle factors group. Our vehicle factors investigator will focus on the mechanical conditions of the vehicles involved. We'll conduct examinations of subcomponents such as brakes, steering, and suspension, and ensure that they are in line with applicable standards. Fifth is our motor factors group, our motor carrier group. Our investigator will focus on the driver and carrier operations. It will look and make sure that they are in compliance with any applicable federal and state regulations. We'll also look into the carrier operations as far as their safety culture, fatigue management, driver's fitness for duties, items such like that. And finally, our technical reconstruction group. Our technical reconstruction is responsible for mapping and documenting any physical evidence on the highway, as well as documenting all the vehicle damage. We'll take that data and analyze it in order to reconstruct the crash events. The reconstructors will also be responsible for analyzing any electronic data obtained from vehicles or other electronic devices.
Thank you, Eric. With regard to this tragedy and building on Eric's comments, we are particularly interested in issues relating to, first, motor coach driver factors, including fatigue, impairment, qualifications, and medical events. Highway factors, including work zone designs, whether variable speed limit signs were used, and whether the end of the traffic queue was monitored. Operations and oversight of the motor carrier, and vehicle factors and occupant protection. In addition to our investigators, we have a specialist from our Office of Transportation Disaster Assistance on scene, who will be working closely with the families and local agencies to provide support to those involved. Our investigative team will be on scene for 5 to 7 days. A preliminary report is expected to be published within 30 days. Final NTSB investigative reports take between 12 and 24 months to complete. I also want to offer additional information about the mission of the National Transportation Safety Board. NTSB is an independent federal agency, and we are charged by Congress with investigating every civil aviation accident in the United States and significant accidents in railroad, highway, marine, and pipeline. We also issue safety recommendations aimed at preventing future accidents. We are working closely with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the Virginia State Police, and the Virginia Department of Transportation. We are grateful for the support of these agencies. We encourage witnesses or those with information relevant to the investigation, including any video footage, to contact the NTSB by email at witness@ntsb.gov. And let me repeat that email address. It's witness@ntsb.gov. Our investigators will work thoroughly to document relevant evidence and gather additional factual information. Our mission is to understand not just what happened, but why it happened, and to recommend changes to prevent it from happening again. We will not be determining the probable cause of the crash while we were on scene, nor will we speculate about the cause. These are the first steps in a lengthy investigative process. Once again, we extend our condolences to the families, and we thank the first responders for their efforts. With that, I'm happy to take some questions, and if you have a question, please raise your hand and identify yourself and your media affiliation. Yes, sir.
In terms of the vehicle and the crash that happened, are you guys also reviewing any camera video or any witness video that maybe people had of the crash?
Yes, the question has to do with in-vehicle video and possible video from other vehicles. And yes, absolutely, we're seeking that information. We don't know yet what exists, but certainly that's important evidence, and if we can identify that evidence and then collect it, certainly we will do so and then evaluate it. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chaplain, Dave LaValle with DC News Now. This isn't the first multi-crash incident involved. I'm sure that you have worked. How does this one compare to previous ones that you've examined?
Well, they're all unique in their own way, but there are some common factors that we want to look at closely here. One is the issue of the traffic backup, not only with respect to a construction zone or a roadwork zone, but also just traffic backups generally. We have investigated others, and in fact, we have some others ongoing now involving large vehicles colliding with the rear end of a traffic backup. So that's something we want to look at very closely. We also want to look very closely here at issues potentially involving fatigue, driver performance, those sorts of things. And then vehicle performance issues, that might include factors such as automatic emergency braking, whether the vehicle was or was not equipped with what's called AEB. Those are the sorts of things that we want to look at here, and we think we might be able to learn some lessons. Yes, ma'am.
Regina with Fox 5. I know you're still in the preliminary stages of this investigation, but just examining just a little bit of the scene with the construction zone, were there other issues with other vehicles within the coming days or during those hours when construction was taking place? Is that something that you've looked into?
Well, that's something we certainly will be looking into. It is early. It's very early. So we've not yet had an opportunity. In fact, I think our investigators are out there now, or were out there earlier today looking at the scene. One of the things we were looking at is the physical characteristics of the scene, the design of the roadwork configuration, and then the performance of any of the vehicles, or the configuration of any of the vehicles that were caught up in that backup. Still very early. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Fox 5, same thing. The driver could be charged also, but before the traffic, the construction, you think you guys have also investigate that was enough signalization for you like start braking, because I pass and I see the way it looks like the driver from the bus even hit the brake the way pass is a long distance. So my question is, you guys looking to see if that signalization for driving start like braking far away to have time to stop?
Your question is in terms of whether the driver did any braking prior to the accident? We absolutely are seeking to determine that, and I believe there will be sufficient evidence for us to determine that, both in terms of physical evidence at the site and also potentially electronic evidence from onboard equipment that might be able to tell us what the vehicle was doing at the time. We don't know that yet. It seems fairly clear that if there was any braking, there wasn't much because of the speed and the severity of the collision, but too early yet to know exactly what was happening on board the vehicle. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chapman, just to follow up on what you just said, is it too early to say how fast the coach driver was traveling at the time of the crash?
Question is about the speed of the vehicle. Yes, it is too early to say that. It appears clearly a high rate of speed, but the precise speed, we've not been able to determine that yet.
Coach bus that was included, is it known to have any issues that may lead to a crash, maybe in the past?
Eric, I'm not aware of any. That we'll be looking at that. I'm not aware that any of that information has come out at this stage, but that's certainly something we'll evaluate. Eric, are you aware of anything?
Not aware of anything yet, but we will be looking into that.
Yes, ma'am?
I know you guys are more on the transportation safety investigation, but are there any updates on those who were critically injured just from last night? I know that many of them went to different hospitals.
Sure. This is a question about the status of those that were injured and some of them hospitalized. We do not have that information specifically. I think that's information that the Virginia State Police will be better equipped to answer, and we would refer you to them.
Just another history question real quick. For the driver, do you know if he has a history of driving radically, any issues or crashes in the past? Is that something that you guys would be looking into?
A question about the history of the driver and whether the driver has any a prior history. We certainly are looking at that. It's too early for us to be able to say one way or another. That's one of the key factors that we always evaluate in a tragedy such as this is the driver's history and background. We also, just as a matter of information here that might be useful to you, one of the things that we do as a matter of course is we do a 72-hour look back to see what the driver's activities were during the days leading up to the crash. So we're looking for sleep issues, distraction issues, potential drug and alcohol issues. I'm not saying that there's any of that involved here, but those are the sorts of things we want to look at and see what the activities of the driver were during the days leading up. Yes, sir?
And just, this is the first full day after the crash that we're getting this update. Are you planning more updates like this?
We don't plan an additional live press briefing. We may post additional updates if information is worthy of doing so over the next couple of days on our website. We also, however, will be releasing a preliminary report, and that will come sometime in the next 30 days. That's going to be very factual. There's not going to be much there, I don't think, that will surprise you in terms of the information that's already out there, but it may also confirm some of the information that at this early stage is out there. Other questions?
Yes, sir. I just got texted one from, no, it was already asked.
Recommendation, sir, like what happened in DCA, for example. Like
Yes.
after that, you guys come and do some recommendations.
Yes.
In this case, like if the driver was not his fault or maybe a mechanical problem, but also I want to know about the distance when like the workers start marking, I'm driving and now I see like a yellow light, so I'm gonna slow down. I see, like the distance. You guys maybe gonna come up and say, you guys need like not 1 mile, but like 3-5 miles before where you guys work. You start like a red light or yellow light for you guys start to slow you down, something like that.
Question is about potential recommendations that we might make as a result of this investigation. That is the end product of the investigations that we do. NTSB does not have any regulatory authority. Our ability to impact change is through the recommendations that we make. We have credibility because of the good work that we do, and so those recommendations are taken very seriously. I don't want to speculate on what the investigation might lead to in terms of investigations or in terms of recommendations, but we'll be looking at all these factors we've discussed this morning and potentially making recommendations to help improve safety going forward.
Last question.
What can you tell us about Sean Duffy's assertion that the driver's language could have contributed to this crash?
We are still assessing the driver's language proficiency, and we don't have enough information at this point to have drawn any conclusions there. That's something we're looking at, but we've not drawn a conclusion independently as a result of our investigation. Yes, sir, did you have a question?
That was it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
If you're just now joining us, we've been listening into a live update from the NTSB after yesterday's deadly crash on I-95 in Stafford County, Virginia. The NTSB says a charter bus traveling from New York to North Carolina had failed to slow down for traffic that was backed up at a work zone on I-95 southbound. That triggered a chain reaction involving at least 7 vehicles, we now know, and killing 5 people, including 2 children. Investigators say that they are closely examining the bus driver's condition, vehicle performance, and how traffic headed into that work zone was managed by crews possibly on site. The NTSB also said it is still too early to figure out the bus's exact speed, and while investigators don't know whether the driver braked, officials noted that if braking did occur, it did not appear to be substantial. They added that any potential charges, as we know, would be determined by Virginia State Police, but there's no timeline yet for any announcement. Of course, this is a developing news story. Our Dave Laval will have more on the people still receiving care in the hospital tonight at 6, and you can find the latest updates on our website, dcnewsnow.com. We'll see you in just a couple hours.